What is good, everyone? It is so great to be back. I don't feel real. The lights are a little brighter this time. I figured out how to make them actually bright. Still here at the silly apartment. There's actually some like natural lighting here today. And that is because today I'm doing my first ever K-pop review. I'm back for a one-take review. This was one take, unlike the last one. And yeah, so today we're reviewing the new Blackpink album. Now you may be asking, who is Blackpink? And I would probably say, you are so silly because you should already know that by now. So let's go right into the album. Well, not the album, because in 2020 they released an album called The Album, which has one of my favorite ever K-pop songs on it, which is Ice Cream. I think a lot of people hate that song. They're crazy. I love that song. It's such a great song. The reason I say it's one of my favorite K-pop songs is because I'm not really a K-pop fan, and it's not because I'm like, oh, I hate K-pop, but it's just because, I haven't been formally introduced to the genre, or I haven't endeavored myself in it. But, I listened to that Blackpink album because I heard that song and I was like, wait, this is kind of a banger. And I listened to the album and it was pretty decent. The first three songs on the album were really, really good. And then the rest of the album just kind of didn't do a whole lot for me. But, I've still kept Blackpink in my radar. And I heard a snippet of their new song, the single that came out before this, Pink Venom. And when I first listened to it, I wasn't a huge fan of it. And even going back to it at the beginning of this album, I thought it was a bit underwhelming just because of the chorus, because that's probably my only complaint about the song. The rest of it is hard, and it kind of feels like your typical K-pop song. I have my notes here, by the way, and but it just goes really hard, and the build up to the drop right before the chorus goes really hard. And I feel like the chorus was a bit underwhelming, but after repeated listens of the song, I feel like the chorus has kind of grown on me, as well as the entire track as a whole. And it's just a banger. It's a really good start to the album. Not the album. I should say this album is called Born Pink. Usually I would be wearing pink. That's like my favorite color. I got some pink behind me, which hopefully isn't like making the camera go crazy. I don't even know, but I'm not wearing pink today. But the album's called Born Pink, and I think they named it after me. As I'm staring at my pink iPhone right now with my pink blanket and my kind of pink squishmallow. I have to review this album. So right after Pink Venom, we go straight into Shutdown, which is another banger. It kind of feels like an Among Us trap remix, but like it's still a banger regardless. There's some tight flows on here, and the strings go really hard, and the chorus is hard, and the verses are hard, and overall it's just a very hard song. I might say that word a lot in this review because that's just how these songs are. And then we go into the song Typa Girl, which I wrote, this song is so ridiculously badass, which I feel like is such like a white mom way to put things, but I didn't know how else to say it, It's just like, but basically, I lost my place. Basically, the saxophone in the beat goes kind of crazy, and overall, it just kind of feels like a flex, the song. It's kind of like, I'm not like the other girls, but like in the most braggadocious way possible, which is just so great. And then we go into the song, Yeah, Yeah, Yeah. Sorry, I'm laughing at myself. Which I'm not necessarily sure what they're saying on the song, as the majority of it is in Korean, except for the words yeah, yeah, yeah. But it kind of feels like their take on like a Carly Rae Jepsen song, but like in a good way. And it just feels like a pretty upbeat synth pop banger, and it has a very catchy chorus, and overall, just an enjoyable song. And so far in the track list, we just got like banger after fire track after, you know. And then we get to the song Hard to Love, which is kind of where the track list takes a bit of a dive, if you will, which is kind of how their last album felt. Because the first three songs were so ridiculously crazy, and then afterwards they kind of just didn't pick it back up, which isn't necessarily the case here. Just hold your horses, but we have sorry, here's some knocking. Anyway, we have the song Hard to Love, which is okay, but it just feels like a generic, I don't want to hurt you because I'm so terrible and you're in love with me kind of song. And the instrumental just kind of feels like something I've heard before. So mid. And then we have The Happiest Girl, which is just kind of a piano ballad about, pretending to be happy in front of someone who you had a relationship with before, I think. And the song just doesn't really do a whole lot for me, and it kind of just makes me want to listen to the song Stay by Rihanna. You know the one. But then we go into Tally, which is where things kind of pick up again. In fact, it might even be my favorite song on the album, and I'll explain why. There's a lot of really bad, like, trap rock crossover songs out there, but this is an example of one that's good, because it's like this pop song, it's this pop song, but there's elements of trap and rock, and there's even a grungy type feel to the song, in the instrumental and in the lyrics going on, because it's just kind of empowering anthem about just saying fuck it and doing what you want with who you like. And I kind of see it as just not caring about like the expectations that society places on women, and like how there's that double standard of like when a guy gets with all these people that he's a baller, but when a woman gets with all these people, she's just a slut. So that's just kind of how I saw the song, and overall I just really enjoyed it a lot. And then finally we have Ready for Love. Honestly, I think the album, as short as the album is, I think, because I feel like Ready for Love is kind of my least favorite song here, kind of just because it feels like a mix of like a bad Carly Rae Jepsen song and a bad EDM song, and it kind of just feels like a worse version of the song Lovesick Girls from their last album, which I wasn't really a huge fan of to begin with. So it kind of leaves me thinking, like, do I wish they just ended the album here? But it's already such a short album at just 8 tracks, and I've probably been talking about this album for too long, considering that it's only 8 tracks. But overall, when it comes to this album, does it have a full album kind of feel? I would say kind of. It doesn't, it's not like super like flowy or anything like that, but it is kind of just like one track straight into the other, and there's some bangers, and there's some more mellow songs that I wasn't crazy about, but basically I've learned when it comes to Blackpink, when they do a good song, it's good, and I'll probably come back to it. And overall, this was just a pretty great album. I wasn't even planning on listening to it, but I was just kind of inspired out of nowhere, and here we are. And I'm glad I did, because I'm coming out of this with some pretty fire tracks, and you know, hopefully this will lead to my journey into discovering more K-pop. And yeah, overall, I think I'm feeling a strong 7 on this album. You know, just bordering on like a light 8, but I don't think it's up there. It's like a strong 7 to a light 8, but more on the side of the strong 7. And that's how I'm feeling about this new Blackpink album. You know, glad I have expanded my horizons and am now reviewing K-pop, Blackpink in your area. Love them, love you. Have a beautiful day for you.